Alex Hormozi says the easiest way to make your first 10K a month as a beginner is with paid communities. And he also recently launched the Skool games to help people make their first money online. With that, he's put up some resources on how to launch your first Skool community. Today, we'll be going over his best advice on how to launch a paid community so that you can start one a day.
On Skool is one of the easiest businesses, or if not the easiest business that you can start today, is a couple reasons. One is that most businesses require startup capital. This one doesn't. You can start for free, you can use free tools on the internet. All right, number one. Number two is that you don't need inventory, so you don't have to worry about logistics or supply chain or drop shipping or any of that kind of stuff. Number three is that you don't need to hire other people in order to make this business work. So if you're alone, on your own, you're a solopreneur, you're just getting started, you can start making money on the internet using this without anything else. And for me, as somebody who's had a large audience of people who've been trying to figure out ways to make money, I spent the last 4 years looking for something that I actually believed was the easiest, highest likelihood opportunity for people to pursue, and this is it.
Okay, this is actually how I started my first paid community. I had nothing. I knew no one that could help me out. And while I liked reselling and everything when I was 17, I've never been a super big fan of physical products. So this always just was amazing for me. I never had to sell anything physically, never had to hold anything. I just told people what to do. And naturally, I don't like relying on people. So having a business model that I can launch with nothing and no resources, yeah, it's pretty perfect in my mind.
I don't know what to sell, I don't have an audience, and I'm not an expert. And the nice thing about Skool and the Skool games is that you don't have to have any of these things. We actually solve all three. So Skool has been built, it took us 5 years to get here, so that we know you need no extra tools. It's not like you come in and they're like, okay, go sign up for this, this, and this. It's all here, and you can get it all for free to start with a 14-day free trial. All right, but on top of that, you're gonna have a community of other people who are also in this tournament with you. They're playing the Skool games with you. They're also trying to win, and they're sharing in the Skool community how they're playing the game.
So yes, you don't need all these working parts, but the hardest part is if you're not the expert. The other co-founder of Skool, Sam Ovens, he says he really likes communities because everyone can come together and give info. I agree with that, but there has to be one head honcho. If not, it's just not a structured community, and people definitely shouldn't be paying for it.
And so we're gonna be doing literally what we practice, because we're gonna be building this community and letting the community come up with the better and more tactical answers to show you how to do it for yourself. And then finally, the training we will also provide for you. And so when I think about changing someone's life, I wanna change where they are, I give them a new community. I wanna change what they're thinking about, so I give them training. And I wanna make sure they have all the tools at their disposal to actually make it happen. Right? If I told you to build a website, but you didn't have a connection to the internet, really tough to do, right? And so if we remove any constraints you have around tools, we put you in a community of people who are trying to do the same thing, and we give the education to do it, you can do it. You can win.
Okay, so here's the thing with paid communities. I love them because the profit margins are so high. Yes, you can start this with absolutely nothing like I have with some of my paid communities. But one word I want to dispel out of this is easy. No, it is not the easiest business model. When you have to deal with social media, funnels, community building, churning, I mean, that's a complicated business model. But what is it? It's the best business model. It really just allows you to double down on everything. So if you're an expert on something, you can sell that information at mass. And if built right, these things last a long time. My main community has lasted 5+ years. So that's what's so great about it. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's something that you can really build with IP, and it just compounds as you go along. There are a few different ways to do this. There's some more beginner ways and there's some more advanced ways. But overall, I wouldn't call it the most beginner friendly model at all.
How to design your business. The first question you ask is, who is it for? Now, this is where a lot of people get stuck, and it's because they overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be, it can be very easy. You want people who have a shared interest with you, they have the same goal as you, or they have the same problem to solve. And so an easy way to think about this is scratching your own itch. Because right now, if there's a problem that you're trying to solve, whether it's like, I wanna learn how to day trade, or I wanna learn how to flip houses, or I wanna learn how to paint, or I wanna learn how to play ping pong, all of these things are things that you might be inherently interested in. And so one of the easiest lenses and some of the biggest and most successful businesses of all time have been started by founders and entrepreneurs who are like, I suffered with this problem for a long time. I just want to solve the problem or find the solution. And the cool thing is that you don't have to be the expert.
So the first thing you do before doing any sort of paid community is you find the niche you want to go and do. And then within that niche, you want to see what are the pain points of everyone. And by pain points, it's what Alex Hormozi is referring to as problems. And yes, you really want to dig into this and you want to find the biggest pain points because that is where you're gonna make your paid community out of. So let's say this, people are tired of all the sneaker bots buying up all the sneakers. You can make a Discord where you can buy it manually and you don't need a bot. You went into that niche, you found their pain point, and you found a solution. One of the easiest ways to do this is literally just going into comment sections and going into other servers and see what people are saying. Sometimes you literally just have to ask people one-on-one.
Like, you can be the expert, but I think the majority of you will probably opt for something like this, which is crowdsourcing, which is finding other people who are simply interested in solving the same problem as you, and then using the community, leveraging your community to help solve the problem together. Now, they can go out, find the answers, bring them back to the community, and then that provides value to everyone else. But also, and this is a skeleton key of life for you to gain access to people you otherwise wouldn't, is that when you put a group together of 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000 people.
So obviously this is really general, but it's really best to know at least something about your subject. If you're the expert, absolutely hands down, that's how you get just a banger 7-figure business, because then you don't have to rely on anyone. You can give the info and then it makes it a lot easier for content, funnels, promoting it. If you have to crowdsource it, then you have to rely on other people. Now, I have done crowdsourcing and it's worked fantastic, but you need a large audience within your community already to be able to source that. And there's also an eye to see who's actually good to crowdsource from. Just because someone can speak on something doesn't mean you should really leverage them within the community. So my suggestion is, if you are going to go the crowdsourcing route, try to get a bunch of people who are interested and really try to find the needles in the haystack that know what they're talking about. And then those are the people you can bring to higher roles, bring to your staff, maybe even be a partner. You do always want to be somewhat passionate and knowledgeable about the subject though, because you're gonna have to speak on it at some point.
You can then reach out to other people who are way above you in terms of status or reach or following and say, hey, I've got this community. I'd love to give you access to them if you'd be willing to make a 30-minute video with me or do a call with my community for Q&A. And people who, like, you will be able to punch way above your weight class because you can actually provide something to them, which is distribution of their message. And so you actually get to be, you actually get a favor from the person who's doing the Q&A, and you are perceived as delivering value to your community, and so you get a win-win for everyone.
Yes, I 100% agree. These expert calls are just no-brainers. It legitimizes you as the owner of the paid community, because the members are going to be like, oh, whoa, he's clouded. He has all these connections. And then obviously they're going to be able to listen to the expert, and it's just overall win-win for everyone. Now, the easiest way to make this happen is having a really active community. If your community is dead, it's going to be a lot harder to talk to those higher level creators. And one of the easiest ways to propose to them is get everyone in on a call, and then you can flex that amount of viewers. So if 200 people hop in a live call, that's what you send in the DM to the creator. So yes, these definitely work really well.
And if you're not an expert, this is probably going to be the path for you. And Skool's been built to facilitate this model so that you no longer have a reason to not get started. The next question you have to ask is, do I want my community to be free or do I want it to be paid? If you're just starting out, start for free. Get people in the community, find out what they like, start providing value to them, learn how to actually run a community.
Yes, yes, yes. I don't know why everyone tries to jump to a paid immediately. You'll make more money just launching a really solid free community, and then you can figure out whatever offer later. If you try to rush something, the customers are gonna be able to see it, and even if they do come in, they're probably gonna want a refund. And it lessens the pressure a lot too. If you're just starting this as a beginner, or you're new into the community scene, if you have a free community, then you have nothing to worry about. You're not selling anything.
When you feel confident enough that you can provide value to an audience and that audience in of itself is valuable, you can flip it to paid. And so the nice thing is that this is an irreversible decision. You can start here and then eventually move to paid when you feel confident. And if you're already confident that you can provide value to an audience, you can start at paid right up front. So now that you know who you're going to be solving problems for, people who have the same interests.
Yes, this is hands down the best funnel. You build out a free, and then you have a paid. That is when you're ready.
And so there's 3 big buckets of stuff. You've got access, which is the people in the community gaining access to you. So believe it or not, especially if you're new to this, if there's 100 people who all want time with you, your time becomes pretty scarce really quickly. And so access to you becomes valuable in and of itself. And there's lots of ways to do this. And I'll give you some examples in a second. The second thing is content itself, because this is a closed area. So you can put content that you don't put public, or that you can make exclusive. All of these things are about being exclusive to the community. The third is events. Now, events can be digital, they can be in person, so you can do a wide variety of types of events. It can be with lots of people, it can be with very small people. It could be going on a hike, or it could be doing a big digital conference. Any of these things fit within what you could put inside. And so the idea is that you want to create a schedule or a cadence around when you're going to be providing these things. And so, for example, for access, it might be a Q&A call with you, but it might also just be giving access to people that your community doesn't otherwise have access to. And so if I were fixing cars as my group, because that was what I was into, then I would find a master mechanic or something like that, or who worked on this really type of historic car, ask them to do a Q&A with my community. Now, if one of my community members just tried to reach out to that guy, he probably wouldn't respond. But if I've got 2,000 other mechanics or people who are interested in cars, he probably would. And so they would gain access to people they otherwise wouldn't. With the content, you do things that you or the community create that provides value. Now, everything I just listed is not an exclusive list of things you can do.
So Hormozi's going into what we call bonus stacking. What you try to do is you just try to keep stacking stuff on top of your offer so you make it a no-brainer for the customer. This is definitely more slanted for the paid side, and you want to be value stacking honestly everywhere, but it is more important for the paid side because this is where you're really trying to convince someone to buy into that paid community. As for the exclusive content and the access, yes, you definitely need these. So in social media promoting the paid community, when you're in your free community, you want to give out value, but you want to save some extra value for that paid community, and that's that exclusive access. You can kind of use this as an extra carrot on the stick to let people know, hey, I have some extra alpha. Now, if you're partnering with a creator or you are the creator, that person's name is going to have a lot of weight in the paid community. So I would try to avoid one-on-ones. It's going to start to lessen your value. And most importantly, you're just not going to have time. The best way to mitigate this is have weekly live calls in your community. I've even done it both ways where I've had free live calls and then I have paid live calls. Not mutually exclusive.
Anything that you can possibly imagine that provides value to your audience. And so 2 easy questions to think about this is, if you're scratching your own itch, what do you think is epic? If you're like, man, it'd be so epic if this happened, that's a great place to start for value you can provide to your community. The other way to do this is just ask them, hey guys, what do you think would be cool? And remember, you now have the collective asking power of the whole community, and you are their champion to go ask on their behalf. And so don't take that responsibility lightly, and you'll be amazed at what doors can open. Now, what actually provides value?
Again, he goes back on just asking the people, what do they want? Not like this is new just for paid communities. This is with every business. You want to find the pain points of everyone and you want to solve it. So just literally find all their pain points, make it your main offer, and then just stack it along the way. They want to hear from a bunch of speakers, you go ahead and stack all them. If they want a certain software, a certain bot, you can go ahead and add that to the offer. Just add as much stuff as possible. One thing that's really important that wasn't mentioned is you want some proprietary things. So one way to really get a leg up on everyone is have something that just people cannot get access to. So yes, this could be live calls, but I'm thinking more like software and knowledge. This is stuff that's pretty hard to replicate. So if you're able to carve your own lane with some specific knowledge or even a software or some bot, then you really are ahead of everyone else. Now that's kind of expert level. That's not really beginner level stuff, but something to have in your head. You always want to be above competition. If something's easy to replicate, then guess what? A competitor is going to replicate it.
There's the outcome or the problem that you're solving. So as long as you're all, this is why the who is so important, so that we're actually making sure we're solving the same problem for all these people. But assuming this is aligned, which it should be at this point, the other 3 variables are going to determine how valuable your group is, which is the solutions and content you make. Does it make whatever problem you're solving lower risk than if they didn't have that? So if you explain how to not blow up your car, that would lower the risk of doing this thing. Or how to not break the tool that you used, that would lower the risk of whatever the implementation was. If you can help them do it faster, they will like you more. If it normally takes a year and you can show them a way to do whatever it is in 3 months, that's valuable. And if you can do it in a way that doesn't make them stop doing the stuff that they like doing or start doing stuff they hate doing, the effort and sacrifice, then they'll like you more. You'll be providing value. And so whenever you're thinking about the content or the access or the events, this should always be the underlying goal. How can I make it less risky for my audience? How can I make it faster? And how can I make it easier?
I've never seen this equation before, but it's kind of cool actually. I haven't done math in forever, so my brain is trying to compute it. But to just put this down in simple terms, yeah, he definitely is at a good start. People want to solve their pain point and they want to solve it fast and risk-free. Now, how would I make my own formula on this one? Well, one thing he's not mentioning is that paid communities do best when you make people money. That's how you make $1 million paid community, is when you make other people money. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot harder to have this thing sustained over years. Does it make money or does it not? If it makes people money, multiply it by 2. That's a pain point almost everyone can resonate with. So very, very important thing to think about.
So if you choose to start for free, one of the big things I want to emphasize is that you can start here and then eventually switch to paid when you have more confidence. And that could be in month 2 or month 3 or month 6, because you should see this as you're building an audience, and that audience is the most valuable asset you have and that you will have over time. And so like, don't worry about this month, next month, the month after. It's about building that asset. And if it takes a little bit of time, welcome to business. But once you have that asset, you can pretty much get yourself set up financially for the rest of your life. And so I'm all about doing things fast, but I'm more about doing them right. And so you can start free and in a couple months switch to paid. And when you do switch to paid, have so much more momentum that you can skyrocket to the top and win. Because if you start your community that's paid with 1,000 members already in it, for example.
Agreed 100%. We're playing the long game. Funny enough, I've literally grown up with a lot of the people in my community. I know them really well. I mean, these are people I can rely on. They can rely on me. It's almost deeper than business. So yes, you can build pretty crazy communities. So really nurturing those relationships is 100% worth it over time. It'll pay you dividends on dividends. Listen, you can make money out the gate. I've made really fast growing communities, but it's really best to have that long timeline because we're wanting to build $1 million paid community, or at least high 6-figure. And yes, if you harbor everyone into that free community, it will be a lot easier to sell into the paid. You really have to make sure that free community is active. Otherwise, you're just pitching it to a brick wall.
You already have this super lively community that there's valuable people, there's great contributors. It's kind of like showing up to an empty party versus showing up to a party that's already rolling. Early on in the night at the club, they let people in for free, and then at past a certain point, once there's enough people, they start switching and paying for tickets to buy in, right? Same idea, just done digitally. And so you can do it either way, but don't be ashamed or don't be worried about starting for free because you're like, when am I gonna go to paid? You're actually gonna set yourself up for a really solid paid community if you start free first. So don't worry about it if you're starting here.
Yes, you're gonna learn so many community building skills having the free. It's almost tougher building the free sometimes, so the paid will just be a lot easier on your end. You build a good community, the money will come. Trust. Overall though, Hormozi did not harp enough on an offer actually making people money. If you aren't able to make people money, your job is a lot harder.
Let's talk about making money. Monetizing your group. So there's 4 kind of life paths of someone who enters school and starts a school community. The first and easiest one is that you can just keep your community free forever. And that's totally fine. It's a better platform, it's more engaging, you guarantee the reach of all your posts, people can interact with each other, you have leaderboards, you can unlock content, making sure they actually share it and refer people back to you. There's tons of amazing features that make Skool superior to any other platform for just providing value. At the next level, you might start with this and then switch to paid over time. Now, to be clear, you can't start everyone for free and then switch to paid and then all of them are getting billed. That would be unethical. And so if you switch to paid, everyone who's free will be grandfathered in at free. Now, here's a little pro tip for you. If you know that you're going to eventually go to paid, tell people when you're inviting them that this group will be paid in the future. And so they'll have a stronger incentive to join now. It puts urgency around why, like the big reason why they should join, because it's gonna be paid eventually. All right, and you can tell them you're gonna keep that price forever as long as you stay in, right? And so it gives them an incentive to stay and engage as well.
The problem with this, you're gonna have so many freeloaders if you just all of a sudden change your community. I think it's fine to definitely have the more active people have some free spots, but best believe people will be freeloading. There's something about making someone pay that just makes it such a better member. If someone gives even $1, it means they're so much more dedicated than the person just in there for free. And then going back on the pure free community, yes, this is really solid. You can get creative with it. You can seriously build anything. You can build a software, you can build another paid community, you can do some other crazy high ticket offer.
So free, and then you switch to paid. Now after that point, anyone who joins now joins the party late after the party's already booming, and then you charge ticket for entry, right? And that's recurring monthly. So that's option 2.
Yeah, I just want to do that.
Option 3 is that you keep your free community, right? You keep the same free community, and then you just start a second community where people can choose to join at a price of some sort. And you might get additional features, additional access, additional events, additional content, whatever that comes in this community that isn't here. And honestly, The best way to get people to want to join this one is to make this one awesome.
This is how all my communities are structured out. This is how I suggest it for everyone. It is the perfect funnel. Don't mess with it. Just get people into a popping free community, and then you can sell them into a paid much easier. I also like how he mentioned the perception of value. If your free community looks really good, people are going to assume your paid community is even better. So you're going to get more sales. Don't try to be greedy and try to chintz out on info. Give value everywhere. And same down the pipeline with your social media. You want to give out value, and then you're going to funnel them to that free, and then they're going to go to paid. This works flawlessly for me, and it will for you too.
The fourth path, and I just put it here for obviousness, is that you can just start a paid community, which is totally fine. But I like to show all of the paths because people are going to be starting at different points with different skill sets and different assets.
Yeah, you can't go straight into paid. You have to be really confident this is going to make people money. Otherwise, I would have some sort of free part. But overall, the best of all those, you have a free and you have a paid. You have to do a lot less convincing if you make that free server good.
So just to give you some data, the majority of groups on Skool right now are between $19 and $299 a month. And that's a big range. And part of that comes down to what the group is about. If you're teaching digital marketing tactics to agency owners doing $20,000 a month or more, then you can probably charge a lot more because the value of the content you are delivering relative to how much they're going to make, there's a huge discrepancy, so you can charge more for it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. How much can people actually make from it? So if it's a paid offer and someone's gonna make a ton of money, you can command a lot more.
If you're showing people how to water paint for kids, there's probably going to be a lower amount of budget that people are willing to spend on their kids, and even for the information relative to what's available online for free.
Yeah, if this doesn't make people money, it has to be below 50, 40 bucks a month.
You can go outside of this range. This is just to give you an idea of where most people are. You can obviously go above, you can even go below. Now, here's my recommendation for thinking through this, is what's your goal? Now, I'm going to use $10,000 a month because that's the most common goal that we get when people say they're coming in of what they want to make. All right, so if I were to reverse engineer this $10,000 a month goal, I could either have 10 people at $9.99 per month, I could have 100 people at $99 a month, or I could have 1,000 people at $9.99 a month. Any of these would still accomplish the goal. The difference between these prices is going to be relative to who I'm serving and the value that I'm delivering and or the problem that we're solving. And so once you know the price that you're going to charge and you know what your goal is, all you have to do is reverse engineer the N, which is the number of units that you have to sell, and when I say sell, get people to join your community in order to accomplish your goal. If you want to take this a step further, you could even think about this from a daily goal perspective, which is how I like to do it. So if I know that I want to get to 100, then I know I have to add 3 people a day, and that's just to get to 100 a month. But if I did 100 in a year, then I can divide that by 12.
Yes, this is kind of monkey math, but it's kind of a cool way to think about it. That $10,000 a month is a perfect level. I think at that level, you have a fully sustainable community, and there are so many different ways to do it. You can do high volume at 10 bucks, or you could do a more high ticket at 999 bucks. The biggest thing to think about is what is your offer? If it's an agency, a more one-on-one thing, you're gonna want that more high ticket. And you're most likely gonna be on YouTube or Twitter. People from those platforms are gonna pay a lot more. They tend to just have higher business acumen, and they're just willing to shell out money. On the flip side, if you're promoting on TikTok, where you can get huge volume, but people are less antsy to give away a ton of money, then you're gonna wanna go the volume game at a low ticket. Seriously, it could be as low as 10 bucks a month if it's not making people money, but it's going viral on TikTok. So really try to zone in where your audience is platform-wise, and then you can kind of cater the offer that way. Put yourself in their shoes. What are they gonna wanna pay monthly? If it's something super egregious, then they're just not gonna pay it.
This is where most people are. You don't have to be there. For you, think about what goal you have, and then reverse engineer the N that you need to get into your community to hit your goal. And then guess what? You can increase your goal.
Yeah, I like this because it's really thinking about the actual money part, which is the most important offers for paid communities. Some things are more of a side hustle where it makes people a couple $100 a month, and some things are just really huge businesses like paid communities that make 10,000 plus a month. So don't try to get really greedy on the prices. If you can really deliver a good community, a good product within it, people will stay. Now, what's my preference? I've always kind of liked the volume game. It's just a lot easier to get people in. Now, I would avoid a super low ticket one unless it is just a silly paid community. I try to aim to at least have it above 20 bucks a month. Now, this is one problem with Skool. It's hard to do upsells and it's hard to connect with other apps. Now, one thing he didn't mention is having a high ticket offer. This can print a ton of money, especially if your creator really does have a lot of rapport with his people. Some great ways to do this: you can do one-on-one consultations. I would definitely charge a high amount for this because this is really time intensive. You could have some sort of paid call on top of it. You could also build an additional course. And if your high ticket really is your thing, you can especially do this agency wise. You can literally just keep it purely free and then just have a high ticket on the back end. I'd say one of the advantages to this is you're not gonna have to deal with a ton of people, and the people you do deal with are gonna be high caliber. They're gonna be paying you money. It's not just some Joe Schmo paying 10 bucks a month. But seriously, you can get really creative with it. You can do low ticket, high ticket. It really just depends on your offer, and really think, can you make the people money? If you can't make the people money, you should just make it cheaper and go the volume game, because you're gonna have a lot of problems just trying to juice out all the money you can get if it doesn't make people money.
So now you want to grow your group. So let me introduce you to the simplest business model in the entire world. Step 1, you get traffic. Step 2, you send traffic to your about page. Step 3, you have a community that people like and tell their friends about. And then you make money. That's the business. So now you want to grow your group. So let me introduce you to the simplest business model in the entire world. Step 1, you get traffic. Step 2, you send traffic to your about page. Step 3, you have a community that people like and tell their friends about. And then you make money. That's the business.
Just right off the bat, one thing that I love that I mentioned was a community that you tell your friends about. So this is something that Hormozi talks about a lot, is having a product that people actually talk about and they do the marketing for you. It's so powerful because you don't have to do anything. They're just doing all the hard work of marketing. In fact, his wife goes on to say marketing should be one of the easiest parts, because if you have a good product, people will just talk about it. Now, this is a lot harder to do with communities, but always something to have in your head, just in all of business, really.
Now, we've already talked about what to put inside of your community in the earlier videos. And so this video, I'm going to talk about traffic and the about page. And one of the beautiful things about this model and Skool in general is that you don't need any external plugins, tools, resources. It's all here and it's built to work seamlessly together.
I would disagree with that. There's a lot of missing parts. You have to do connections like Zapier and a bunch of other external things just to do simple stuff like upsells. So I would not say it's all native to Skool.
There are 6 traffic sources that you can use to push to your about page, which leads to your Skool community. The first is warm outreach. That's where you let people you already know about the thing you have, which is your community. So you go into your phone, you look at your contacts, you look at all the people you've emailed your entire life, you go to every one of your social profiles, look at the people who follow you or who are friends with you or subscribe or whatever metric the platform uses, and then you directly message them and say, hey, I've got this thing, you should come check it out, it's awesome.
Yes, when you're really in the trenches starting this at zero, you can hit people up who may be interested. If they're really warm leads and you guys have talked about it before, no brainer, definitely hit them up.
The next degree of that is to do the same thing but cold outreach. So this is where you reach out to people who don't already know you. So you can still do it on all these platforms, but you either get the lists by buying those lists or using software that scrapes them, or while you're on social media, you can see people are interested in the same things as you, and you can directly message them. So even though they don't know you, they share the same interests as you, and then they might be interested in your group.
This will probably do really bad. I don't imagine this converting really well. A lot of people are gonna take it as spam, and just doing cold email, it's not gonna hit. Doing cold DMs, it's just also not gonna resonate. So no go on that one for me.
So you can run paid ads on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, on any platform that accepts money in exchange for eyeballs or earballs. And you pay for those ads, and then they send you traffic to your about page. The fourth way is content. This is one that a lot of you guys are going to do as well, which is you make content on all those platforms for free, and then the call to action that you have in your profile bio or in the copy that you include in the post references more like this in my community, or check out my Skool group here. And then people will look, and when they're interested, and they will convert on the about page.
Content is the most important part. Hands down, bar none. If your content is weak, your community will die or it'll never get off the ground. The reason why it's so important is because people really need a face or some sort of organization that they can trust. And if they don't, they're just not gonna click on your Skool or Discord community to begin with. So really make sure the content is fire. Even if you're partnering with another creator, you need to make sure they're staying on top of it. And notice how he mentioned the link in the bio. You need to promote this thing hard. Like, it needs to be hands down your main offer. No link trees with a bunch of BS yes or referrals. Like, no, this is your offer and you're gonna promote the living hell out of it. And paid ads are great, but guess what? You need to get good at content before you can do paid ads. That's all paid ads are anymore. It's just finding out what content is best, testing it with audiences, and you just double down on the best content. Keep it simple, master the content, and then go Giga Chad, double down on the paid ads, and you make a bunch of money.
And so for some of you guys who don't like making content or don't like doing the marketing, one of the easiest and fastest ways to grow a group is to go where the people already are. And so there's many influencers, believe it or not, that have hundreds of thousands of followers and make very little money. And so what you can do is present them an opportunity to take their community and put it in one place where they can provide even more value to them. And so that partnership takes the best of both worlds. You basically come with the product, which is using all of Skool's features and value, and present it to the influencer and say, hey, I'll take a percentage and then you get the rest. And for an influencer, if they're currently making $500 a month with their 100,000 people who follow them on Instagram, and you could say, hey, I think we could potentially make $10,000 a month together. If you give me a percentage, you can get the majority, or I'll get the majority, you get a minority. That's what negotiation is. But, and I'll tell you this, if you do it once, the next one you do, you can take a bigger percentage because you'll have evidence that you've done it. And so I'd say if you are going to pursue this strategy of having influencers and saying, hey, I'll make a community for you and I'll help run it and all that stuff, start low, and then over time you can increase the percentage that you make. But the big advantage is you don't have to spend a lot of time to go make that content to get that attention and that audience together. They've already got it. You're just going to tell them to point it to the About page. And big secret here, this is what I'm doing with Skool.
What do you know? Hormozi's a growth operator now. No, but seriously, it does work really well. You just have to find the right creator. I have one video that literally shows you how I found a $2 million creator. That business absolutely prints, but if you find a good one, yes, a lot is off your plate and you can focus more on the back end side, but there is an art to it. You find a good creator, then you have to hit them up properly. If you have absolutely zero business experience, it's gonna be hard to leverage yourself and close a deal. You can do it, but you have to be crafty, so I would check out that one video if you want to see how to do it. One way you can leverage this is have an existing free community, and then you're able to approach an influencer much easier. Or alternatively, you can build a free community for them and then turn it into a paid. But yes, influencers are really powerful in that they've spent years of growing their page, so that's something you don't have to do. You do have to keep on track of them though to make sure they're promoting it. It needs to be their #1 shill.
You want to make sure that the community is awesome. And the best way, like fun fact for you guys, is that my books sell zillions of copies. We sell 3,000 plus copies a day, and I don't directly market, I don't run any ads, I don't do warm outreach. Like, it's just people telling their friends that the book is good, and then they go buy the book. And so one of the best ways to make sure that your community grows is make it fucking awesome, right? Relative to what you charge, and people will continue to come. And Skool makes it easy. So the traffic was the first part of the 3 of the funnel.
Yes, referrals can be really powerful. Try not to be greedy on it though. Give people a lot of money and they're more incentivized to sell it. And you can make complex affiliate models doing the Andrew Tate style of having everyone make TikTok pages. You are gonna need some sort of repository of videos that people can use, but it can work. If you can make those videos interesting, you have a ton of people making pages and doing a lot of the hard work for you. Make the referrals powerful though. 30+%, even lifetime plus. That's something that Skool does really well. If you refer someone, I think you get 40% lifetime, which is one of the strongest referrals I've ever seen from a company.
And the point of Skool is to make making money and business fun and easy. And so nothing gets simpler than the About page. There's only 2 things that you can add to this. You've got media in terms of video or images, and then you've got words where you actually describe what's inside. My pro tip to you is just show people what's inside. The reason demonstrations work so well when you're selling face-to-face or in person is because people get to see the value of the thing before they make the purchase. And so just show them what's inside of the group, show them the value that you're creating. And since you have multiple ways to do it, you can also include testimonials, you can include images, you can include screenshots. Just show them a taste of what's inside that would get them interested. And in the bullets, you can add more color with language for people who prefer to read. Now, again, I wouldn't go big paragraphs here. Just list out the bullets of what you have inside. And so my recommendation here is state the facts and tell the truth. And if the truth isn't that compelling, then change what's inside. until it is.
The videos on the front page are super powerful. If you are the creator or whoever the creator is, they need to be on that video and explaining everything. It'll convert way easier. Yes, though, really lock in 3 to 4 minutes of a good explanation of what your group is, what's all in it, and what can they expect. You can't forget to embed testimonials. That'll be a really, really strong selling point. And you can do it calmly throughout the video. It doesn't have to be necessarily a hard push out. It'll really help conversions though. And then for the other slides, I would just make this all testimonials. You can never have enough client success. The more you have, the easier it is to sell. And then for the writing, that's just basic rules of copy. No one wants to read paragraphs. Make it straight bullet points of the most banger stuff in your community. And don't forget to include some common ones like 24/7 support. You may not think to add that, but just add as many features as possible.
You just see what they've done and you can model that to get started. Now, to be clear, don't copy someone else's stuff because that's going to be their group, not yours. But look at the structure. Look at the way that they set everything up. So you say, okay, so they started with a video and then they have a testimonial video and then they have a screenshot and something else. Okay, I can use that, right? Don't take their stuff, to be very clear. All right, and same thing goes with the text. If they talk about these are the experiences that people have, these are the features that are underneath, and these are the benefits that people who are inside the group get, then you can model that structure.
What's so nice about paid communities, besides your funnels, you don't need a main website. All you need is just that landing page of you joining the community. It's definitely worth to put some time into, and it really doesn't take that long. If you are gonna emulate after someone's page, I'd make sure they're in a similar niche. It's not difficult though. Just put a ton of testimonials and make the feature list very concise, but add as many as possible. So obviously, I'm really bullish on paid communities, but I would not say this is the end-all be-all solution with Skool. The problem with Skool is it doesn't seem like their development is nearly as sophisticated as something like WAP. WAP is what I build all my paid communities on because they just have every single application I want. For example, here's a few big features that Skool is missing that is just a huge problem. You can't track ad data, which what's the point of ads if you can't track it? It's literally just gambling your money away. Skool requires too many external functions. It's not very interoperable. So if I wanted to charge a $500 one-time course, I'd have to use Zapier or some sort of external connection. To me, that's kind of ridiculous. I don't know how it can't process it. Also, the support team is not nearly as good as WAP. When I talk to WAP, it's with a one-on-one person. And with Skool, you just have to email or message around and hopefully get someone. You really need to get creative with paid communities sometimes, especially on the funnel side. So that's why I really, really like WAP. Skool has done well in the incentivization stuff, but it's just not nearly as far development-wise as WAP. WAP is commonly used to connect to Discord, and Discord is where all my paid communities are. And listen, you can do a community on any sort of platform, but why not do it on the one that has the best development? If you're interested in starting your own paid community, I just recorded a full 1-hour paid community masterclass. Check it out right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.